It's our Free Think Friday show on Malaysian Airlines Part 2, because the first part, we didn't touch on this particular theory, and I think you're going to be stunned by it. Ashton Forbes, citizen journalist, joins us. Let's take a look at what this thing is. There's actually video footage of this, right? Where was this taken, Keith? You know.
Let's see. I think we got the satellite video. Let's please play that, Joe.
Satellite.
All right. This is.
Okay, so now we're looking.
Yeah, because I know.
It looks like you're looking up at it.
Right? So actually, that's the funniest part. We're actually looking down.
You're looking down
right away
from
when
a
you
satellite.
look. This is how little perspective we have, and we're not looking through the satellites here. This is a matter of a computer-based program that's pulling satellite data from all the satellites all the time.
Okay,
and no pun intended, but Ashton can't see. He's flying blind.
No, I can see it. I can see it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
look
so.
at this.
We see these orbs, and we might want to play it just a couple times while we go through it.
Okay.
We see these orbs come flying in. We can see this smoke trail on this plane. These are cumulus clouds in the background, so this is a low altitude situation here. We see this mouse on the screen, which would indicate this is somebody logged in to the real spy satellite database and they're doing a screen recording.
So weird.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And they shift the perspective. And in the bottom left, there's coordinates that shift when they change the perspective. And then, poof, the plane is just gone. Like, it's just not there anymore.
Watch that again. Look at this. Yeah. Keep your eye on it. And it is gone.
And that light, that flash you see, accurately illuminates the clouds in the foreground and in the background. And so this is like proving that what we're looking at here is three-dimensional. We're not looking at a 2D picture here. The person actually, so you'll see this flash happen, and we have like a version of this where you can see the flash there, and you can see that like the cloud on the left, for example, gets accurately illuminated from the directional light source, and then the clouds that are kind of in the foreground here are ones that don't get a bunch of light on them at all.
And Ashton, that's important because it goes to the legitimacy of this, that it's not some kind of glitch or a faked video, right?
Yeah, and there's several debunks that are out there. The two most prominent ones, they say, well, they found this cloud picture. So what we're looking at is a 2D static cloud picture, but we can see the clouds evolving, and we've done some kind of slow-mo versions where you can see the clouds like shifting up and down or evolving, which shows that along with this flash that we see, which has accurate three-dimensional lighting, this can't be a 2D cloud picture. You would need a full 3D rendered environment to get two videos from two different angles that are in perfect sync like this. And that's what the people that try to debunk these videos don't ever address, because it adds to the complexity significantly. Not to mention that why are we looking at a fake video that supposedly makes it look like somebody's logged into a Citrix session into a remote database? You know, that's so the mouse is 24 frames per second, but the background is only 6 frames per second, which is indicative of a Citrix session. The mouse comes from the top right of the screen, I guess this is the top right, to the bottom left and goes off, meaning we're looking at a cropped field of view. You can actually almost triangulate the position of the drone that's just off the screen to the north there, based on comparing the two videos side by side. So they crop out the drone, which they don't want us to see potentially military assets, which tells us that the person that leaked this is probably a U.S. military personnel looking at the cyber system, and they're trying to minimize the amount of damage to the United States intelligence. They probably could have made a much bigger screenshot and showed us a lot of other stuff. Maybe that one of those planes that the French father was told about, maybe they're in the field of view as far as we know as well. If you play it again and rewind towards the beginning as well, the way that the orbs appear is very bizarre. This orb comes in at like 2,000 miles an hour. I think we're looking at real, what we would call hypersonic weapons, like what Putin talks about. We've compared it to the flight of the speed of the plane here. This orb comes flying at like 2,000 miles an hour. You'll notice it doesn't quite. Watch, it doesn't quite lock in right away. Like right there, it doesn't lock in, and then it locks in.
It goes by,
the second orb comes in and it gets into orientation right away, and then the third one comes in and gets an orientation right away as well. And they form this perfect equilateral triangle.
What is that? That is just so
exactly.
weird.
Yeah, once the first one locked in, then we're good with the other three.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it looks like some kind of homing type weapon it's happened tracking the plane. And they're mapping the plane right here. They're mapping it to figure out how big the zap has to be in order to warp this plane somewhere else. And then they switch orientations here and they go perfectly vertical. You look at this and you can tell right away there's something intentional happening here. This isn't just random.
So if you're wondering what the implication is here and you still haven't really grasped that because it's difficult to get your head around, it's been teleported somewhere. right?
Yeah, and it's not dematerialization we're talking about here. It's like actually warping space-time. It's a gravitational wave that's just sucking this. It's a wormhole. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But yeah, when you look at this right away, I wouldn't blame anyone for going, well, this has to be aliens. This is too advanced, too far out there. But the more I dug into this, the more I realized, like, no, this is actually our technology. Now, I don't know if we reverse engineered it, if you believe in the UFO stuff. Maybe we dug up a thing, we figured it out. I don't know. I would argue this might go all the way back to the Manhattan Project or the Philadelphia experiment, or maybe even before that. So we could have been working on this, advancing this for decades without the public having any idea.
I really want you to be accurate on this. I want us to have that technology.
Yeah. So I got two quick questions for you here. Joe, can you pause it on the frame right after the zapping here? I just want to see something here. Do the orbs vanish as well?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so they vanish as well, which is very interesting.
Orbs go with.
Okay. And then my other question for you, Ashton, is was this plane specifically targeted before there was a fire on board, or was it targeted because there was a fire on board?
It's a great question. I think that there's two prominent theories. To me, what we're looking at here is some form of espionage between the United States and China. China hacked the Malaysian government and stole the crisis meeting minute notes related to the plane and classified information about the plane the next day on March 9th. A lot of people don't even realize that. They also released a satellite image 5 days later that when you look at it now, if you guys would Google Chinese MH370 satellite image, you're going to see it looks like three orbs around an object that's flying in the sky. It got reported in Western media as debris in the ocean, but if you're doing spycraft with another intelligence agency, that's what you leak to them to say, hey, we saw it. We don't know exactly what you did, but we saw it.
Right.
So to me, either these free-scale semiconductor scientists were defecting and we knew about it, and we were running a counter-espionage operation. We may even set the fire to divert the plane away from China to the rendezvous location where we're going to zap it with the orbs, and then we're going to send it to Diego Garcia or wherever we send it to maintain intellectual property from those scientists and engineers. Or the other theory I think that has some legs as well is the idea that one of these people was so important, they were a VIP, and they said, I'm not going down with this plane, that the fire was accidental. And then they call up and they say, get the orbs out here, guys. And then the orbs come in and show up to save them. I personally lean towards the espionage angle, but either I guess has some legs to it. And that's why this is us here. And people say, well, why is this the United States? Well, we're filming it. And when we watch the drone video, if you want to play that as well, you'll see that this is an operation. Like this drone can't catch up to the plane. And this is the slow-mo version. If you have the other one, the one that's blue, real quick, I prefer if we play that one first because that's the original. This is one that I made just shows the realism related to it. The other one's called Thermal HD.
Thermal HD, clip 7, Joe.
This one, yep. So you can see the MQ-1C Gray Eagle right there. I mean, it's clearly an MQ-1C Gray Eagle. If you guys look it up, the camera's underneath the wing in the custom loadout location. This thing is flying so close to the plane that it indicates an operation. Like any military person that looks at this is going to know this looks like an operation. This camera is being manually controlled, and there's a delay in it, and it shakes more accurately when they zoom in, just like a real camera would. You can see the same orbs here, and this is where we can tell what's going on with these orbs. This is a plasma field.
Wow.
So this orb, this is not a metal sphere. This is like a plasma field around the orb. And when it zooms in even more, first of all, you can see these dark lines are actually in front of the orbs. They're not behind the orbs. They're in front of them. And it's like their own gravity well that they're pulling forward. Then you can see the heat signatures on these orbs as well, spinning around on their axis, which is consistent with topological monopoles that this science wasn't even public back then. And you saw that disappear. And if you let it play here as well, it will show, there's like a slow-mo version if you just let it keep going here, where it shows the orbs in more detail. So the other part too is like, watch this next part where it goes and shows it, repeats it in slow-mo, and you're like, if you made a fake video, why are you adding these slow-mo elements to it so that like if there was any mistake, people would catch them? Right. It's because they want to show people these are real. They want people to look at this and go, this is a plasma sphere. You can see it. There's probably something inside there. And the reason why I say that is because we've got multiple different effects happening here. Like these things are ignoring gravity, they're pulling themselves forward, and then they converge and zap this plane in this cold endothermic event, which is an absorption of energy. To be able to do all of that, I feel like there's got to be something mechanical in there. So this person adds, you can see that heat signature in there as well. And it's like a kind of like a orange slice almost is what it looks like, called the Ukanavasara in terms of like the Thor's hammer shape. And then it shows the super slow-mo here where you actually, when you look into a lot of detail, you can see the orbs reorient. Once you, like right here, when you see the orb right there, the orbs are reorienting. The heat signature goes away for a second, comes back, and then they got into orientation, and then they converge. This is consistent with something called Coulomb's law, which says that the electric force will increase as the distance between the charges decreases, and it goes up exponentially. So people wonder, how do we get enough energy here? Is, well, you take these charged orbs and then you jam them together, and then the force skyrockets in the air. So if you want to play the last video after we looked at that one, this is one that I made that was a combo. People made like color changed versions of this to like let certain details stick out. This is the black and white version of it. And the black and white right here really just helps you see the movement of these orbs, like how perfect it is in this equilateral triangle that you see as they're spinning around the plane here. And then it'll show a super slow-mo of a close-up where you can actually see that the orbs are like getting distorted when they go through the smoke trail that we see there of the plane. And I just can't imagine how somebody could have faked all these frames to this level of detail. You know, this is just actually a real MQ-1C drone filming 777. Yeah. And we're seeing some crazy, I used to call them super harmonic orbs, but at this point, like I think it's, I don't know, maybe plasma, if you want to think of it like that. And this one, you can see the black lines in front of the orbs very clearly here. You see those black lines pulling them forward, kind of wrapping around.
Oh, yeah.
To me, I don't know how anyone could even come up with that. I've never seen anything like that or heard of anything like that in my life.